name is Dheandra Nicolette, and on my channel I share everything from vlogs to lifestyle content, sit down videos, chat with me's, get ready with me's, all the fun things that you need to essentially live your best life. So a few months ago I did a video podcast episode titled 5 Reasons You're Not Living Your Best Life. You guys seem to really resonate with that video, not only on YouTube but also on my podcast. If you don't know, I'm the host of the podcast Manifest Daily. So today I decided to come and do a part 2 to that video and talk about 5 more reasons you are not living your best life. So grab your water, grab your tequila, your beverage of choice. For me personally, I am sipping on my caramel iced macchiato. Delicious. And let's go ahead and dive into today's video. So the first reason, or I guess I don't know if this would be like number 1 or number 6, we're gonna call it number 1 for this video, but the first reason you are not living your best life is that you are waiting for the day that everything clicks and you have everything figured out. Now I've talked about this like a million times. I feel like I don't know how much more to say about it, but y'all, you are not gonna have every single thing figured out at any point in time in your life. When we get into adulthood and when we become adults, everyone's always talking about like getting their ish together, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out the point of life, trying to do all of these things that I think we have like a lot of societal pressures that tell us we have to do. Spoiler alert, we're never gonna have it all figured out. So if you are waiting for like all your ducks to line up in a row, for you to have all of the things figured out, for you to like solve the meaning of life before you actually start to live your best life, you're gonna be waiting for a really long time. Life is a journey, and this entire journey that we're on, we're basically learning lessons every single day. We're learning new things, we're pivoting, we are changing our perception of life, changing our perception of ourselves and our reality every single day. And basically that means that nothing is ever going to be the same every single day. And so I feel like when you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself to basically like figure everything out before you can actually enjoy your life, you're really doing yourself a disservice because you're not allowing yourself to enjoy each day as it comes. So that is the first reason that you may not be living your best life. So the second reason is very similar to the first, and it's that you're waiting for certain parts of your life to be together in the way that you want them to before you actually start enjoying things. Now again, I touched on this a little bit in my episode where I was talking about the 20s, where I was talking about being in your 20s and sort of like that struggle and like all the things that come with being in your 20s and probably your 30s and your 40s and your 50s essentially. But in that episode, or in that video rather, I was touching on this idea of like when every single thing seems to be happening for other people and it's not necessarily happening for you. And I'll touch on a very specific example, the same example that I shared in that video. I talked specifically about love and this idea that as a woman, when you're in your 20s, it's sort of expected that by your late 20s, you have a partner, you sort of like figured out who you're going to be spending the rest of your life with. You may have children on the way. You have probably like bought a house with a partner, all those things. Now, if you are someone where, like myself, that hasn't happened for you yet, you haven't found the partner, you're not pregnant, nor do you have any other kids, you don't have the house, you don't have all of these very like specific markers that society tells you you should have in order to be successful by a certain time point in age. If you don't have those together and you're essentially waiting for those things to happen before you can actually enjoy your life, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can be absolutely happy, you can enjoy your life being single, you can be absolutely happy, be fulfilled in your life without having kids, you can be successful without having the very like traditional markers of success that we have labeled in society. At the end of the day, it's up to you to define what success means for yourself and also define what that looks like for your particular life. And if for you, you're at that age where, you know, people are doing all these things like settling down or whatever, and that's not what's happening for you, you can define your success as something different, and you can allow yourself to enjoy your life, feel fulfilled, and do all of the things that you want to do without having some of those other things that you want to have. Now, that doesn't mean that you are abandoning your dream of being a wife or a husband one day, or you're abandoning your dream of having kids, or you're abandoning your dream of like having the house, the white picket fence, like all of the very traditional things. That doesn't mean that you're abandoning those dreams. What it means is that you've decided that you don't have to wait until those things happen for you before you can actually enjoy your life. I can't tell you how many days I've spent, and honestly, like some of them have been very recent, where I have just not enjoyed my days simply because I feel lonely that I don't have a partner, or I want certain things in my life that haven't happened for me yet. But if I were to allow those days to be more frequent than they were less frequent, I would just be letting the days go by without actually enjoying my life. And that's not something I really want to do. So don't let something like that stop you, whether it's a specific career goal that you have, or family goals that you have, or just life goals in general that you have. If those things haven't happened for you yet, it is okay. They will happen for you, but don't allow that to stop you from enjoying your life, from enjoying your days, from trying new things, from just being fulfilled in what you have now and being grateful for what you have now. So the next reason you may not be living your best life is that you're busy trying to romanticize every single aspect of your life versus letting some things be mundane. Now, we've seen this trend going around. It's like the that girl trend or the romanticize your life trend, which I honestly really do like. I like that people are focusing on bettering themselves, bettering their mental health, their wellness, focusing on enjoying their life, focusing on basically appreciating every single thing in their life for what it is in the way that it is. However, I do think this trend can be a little damaging if you go on the like very extreme end of it, which is basically like everything in life. If you like head into too much of an extreme, it's like too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So with this, what I'm saying is do not let yourself be drawn into this idea that every single aspect of your life, every single minute of your day, every single thing that you do has to be this aesthetically pleasing, romanticized version of life. Some things are just boring, and that's that, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're living a boring life, or maybe you are in some ways. I talked about this again in my 20s video, but maybe some days are boring, and there is privilege in some of your days being boring. There's privilege in you being able to have a very mundane day and not have anything chaotic happen, not have anything happen that like jostles you or basically puts you into like fight or flight anxiety mode. However, I think when we start to get into this mindset of trying to romanticize every single aspect of our lives, we can lose the ability to enjoy some of the more mundane things. Going to the grocery store, putting on Netflix in your room without having anyone there, just like doing the random everyday things of life that make life life. And you can still enjoy those things without necessarily romanticizing them or trying to force them to be extremely aesthetically pleasing. Not everything is going to be aesthetically pleasing, I promise you. There are days I'm sitting here doing my laundry, I'm at my bonnet, I'm not looking cute, my laundry's not looking cute, things are all over the floor, and guess what? That is a part of everyday life. I'm not forcing myself to try to make it aesthetically pleasing because it just doesn't need to be every single day, right? Not every single thing needs to be aesthetically pleasing. So if you have found yourself in this cycle where you feel the need to romanticize every single part of your life, and you feel this pressure to make sure every single part of your life looks like you're in a movie, like you're the main character of the movie, and you're living your best days all the time, every single day, that actually may be stopping you from living your best life, because you may be placing an unrealistic amount of pressure on yourself to create this like romanticized movie idea of your life, when again, some days are just mundane and it's okay for them to be that and nothing more. Another reason that you may not be living your best life is that you haven't made a conscious and solid effort to strengthen the relationship that you have with yourself. Now, we hear people talking about this all the time where they're like self-love, self-care, all these things, but there's a difference between practicing like what we see on social as, again, that like aesthetically pleasing version of self-care and self-love, and actually practicing the deep-rooted beliefs that go into self-love and self-care. Now, that's not to say that having a bubble bath or going shopping or treating yourself to things isn't a really good act of self-love and self-care. Those things definitely are. However, what it comes down to is like having those really hard conversations with yourself, like talking to yourself, allowing yourself to reframe the negative thoughts that you have, allowing yourself to not speak to yourself in a very disrespectful respectful way, allowing yourself to explore the things that you've done in life, the mistakes that you may have made, the places where you may not have set boundaries, the places where maybe you let someone step over your boundaries after you set them and you regretted it, and just taking in all of that and allowing yourself to grow as a person. I think self-care and self-love, yes, it can be very aesthetically pleasing. Yes, it can involve the bubble baths and the shopping and all the fun stuff that we love to do. However, it also involves some of those messy conversations, some of those tearful evenings, some of those times where you just have to sit with yourself and get really honest with yourself about how you feel about how you are showing up in this world. And if you feel like you are not showing up as your best self, or you feel like you are not treating yourself in the way that you should be, or you feel that you don't talk to yourself in the way that you should, or you feel that you don't offer yourself the care and the grace and the poise that you should offer yourself, it's about doing that. It's about changing that relationship that you have with yourself in order to be more healthy. We talk a lot about toxic relationships. I feel like I've seen so much discourse about toxic relationships with other people on the internet because it's such a big thing now, right? There's a lot more self-awareness. There's a lot more focus on mental health, on wellness in our culture today, in our society, which I absolutely love. However, I don't think we've touched enough on a toxic relationship with yourself. Like, you can have toxic behaviors, toxic cycles that you are repeating over and over and over. And an act of self-care and self-love is to allow yourself to see where you are being toxic to yourself, or you are showing up in a toxic way with your relationship with others, and shaping that in a different way, reshaping that, reforming that, and leaving that cycle behind, breaking that cycle with yourself. Basically, another reason why you're not living your best life, or you may not be living your best life, is because you haven't gone deep enough to address your relationship with yourself in the way that you need to. Cut past the surface things, cut past all the nice aesthetically pleasing things, and do the shadow work. Now, I know that some of you guys may not like that term, you may not know that term, but essentially whenever I hear the term shadow work, I'm thinking about doing the work that's deeper than the surface level, doing the things and having the conversations that may be hard, but they're the ones that are absolutely going to change your life. They're absolutely going to change the relationships that you have, not only with yourself, but the relationships you have with others. Because as we know, the relationships that we have with others are often a reflection of the relationship that we have with ourselves. If we are healthy in a relationship with ourselves, if we are showing up with ourselves in a respectful way, in a loving way, in a kind way, in a caring way, we are going to reflect that in the way that we show up in our relationships with others. So allow yourself to do that deep dive, allow yourself to have those hard conversations, and really work on the relationship that you have with yourself. And the last reason that you may not be living your best life is that you've bought into this idea that success means more of everything. It means more money, more fame, more this, excess essentially, right? When we talk about abundance, because I love talking about abundance, I believe that abundance is our birthright. I'm not talking about excess. I think there's a difference between abundance, right? Having enough, having an overflow in some ways of the things that you want and the things that you need in this life, and excess, where it gets into gluttony, where it gets into just amassing things for the sake of amassing things. I think in our world, we have equated success with a lot of like amassing things, with excess. And one of the big things that we have to work on an individual level is actually reframing what success means to us. Does success actually look like you having a private jet and having billions of dollars? Because is that what you really want? Or do you want it because society says that having billions of dollars is the thing to do? There are people that have all the money in the world, all the access in the world to all the different things that they could ever want, yet they are still sad. They still have a void within them that cannot be filled. Now, for you, you may actually define success as something different. It may look like you being able to go live out in the country on a cabin, or in a cabin rather, with yourself and with your family. It may look like you being able to open up a school. It may look like you being able to start a nonprofit. Whatever that looks like for you, allow yourself to explore what success looks like to you on an individual basis. Get rid of all the external ideas of what success means and looks like. Get rid of the idea that in order to be successful, or in order to to show up as a successful person in this world, you have to have amassed a bunch of material goods, because that does not always mean that you are successful. That definitely does not always mean that you are happy, that you're living your best life. So reframe your idea of success. I've done this exercise myself so many times on a personal level. I've asked myself, what do I want to get out of what I'm doing? Like, what are my goals, and why are my goals my goals? Why do I want to do the things I want to do with my podcast, do the things I want to do with YouTube, do the things that I want to do with content and my life and all the things that I'm doing? It's because I just want to hit specific goals for myself, because that's how I personally define success. It may not be how the next person defines success. It may not be how another YouTuber or podcaster defines success, but that is totally up to them to define success in the way that makes sense for them and makes sense for what they want in their life. So get rid of this idea that success has to be an excess amount of stuff, because it doesn't necessarily have to be. And again, that doesn't necessarily correlate with happiness. So my loves, that was 5 more reasons that you guys may not be living your best life. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you're not subscribed already, and let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video. I love these like sit down videos. I know I've been doing a lot of vlogs and stuff like that, and you guys like the vlogs as well, but the sit down videos are always fun for me to film as well. So let me know if you like this one, what you would like me to cover next, whether it be on YouTube or on the podcast. Again, if you're not familiar with my podcast, it's called Manifest Daily. It is amazing. Anyways, my loves, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I've appreciated you being here. Go ahead and subscribe again down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, my loves.